Now that's out of the way. Hey YouTube, another video for you on my M1 Garand, and as you can tell, it's already unloaded. It's a 30-06 caliber semi-automatic rifle with 8-round capacity, with aperture sights and a large blade front sight. And of course, sort of the cleaning kit and the buttstock. The safety is this lever right here. This particular one, I don't know if it'll show up in the video. Maybe. Sorry. This particular one, anyways, a Springfield Armory produced receiver with a Winchester produced bolt and a Springfield Armory barrel that was made in October 1947. And when I researched the serial number, the receiver release was made in 1944. So take that for what it's worth. And this particular one is one that was given to the Danish Navy, of all people. It also has, like, I'm guessing it probably would have been an identification thing for the Danish. It probably had some kind of disc in there, but it didn't have it when I got it. I'm not going to go too in-depth with the M1 Garand, since there's probably thousands of M1 Garand videos on YouTube and the internet that are much, much more eloquent at explaining the history of this rifle than I am, such as Forgotten Weapons, for instance. And they're much more in-depth and detailed and have way more rifles on hand to show you than just this one example. I will say it's a very fun rifle to shoot, though. The only thing I don't like about it is that you can't just put any old 30-06 in here, because you can damage the op rod. So you have to get specifically M2 spec ammunition, which I'm not sure if they still make it anymore. American Eagle several years ago made a box that specifically said M1 Garand on it. 30-06, I got several boxes of it somewhere in there somewhere. And I think one or two other companies might manufacture ammunition that's loaded to the proper spec for M1 Garands, because your standard 30-60, like, say, Walmart or wherever, it's a little bit hotter than what this is meant to be operating with. It's also got a 2-lug bolt, so the clearing the chamber is relatively easy. And of course, sling. This also has an older trigger at the early M1 Garands had, that had this little loop part right here, which they deleted, I think, in 43 or something like that. It was like mid-war, they stopped it, and it was one of, like, a cheaper stamp sheet metal trigger guard. I think this one's also sheet metal, but I'm not 100% sure. I just know that they deleted that feature later M1 Garands. And of course you got your stacking swivel, bayonet lug. Which unfortunately I do not have a original M1 Garand bayonet. I got a reproduction somewhere over there. It's like a longer Springfield style bayonet. I think it's made by Cold Steel. It's like all black, so it doesn't look original at all. I just got it just because it looked cool. Look at the other side. This lever is just to help unload, like, a partially empty magazines, which you almost never use. You usually just fire all 8 rounds and then put a new one in. which is one thing to pay attention to when loading. I don't have ammunition to like dummy around to do it with, but when you're loading an M1 Garand clip in, usually the way I do it is I hold the bolt back while I push it in and then let it go, because I do not want my thumb anywhere in there when it closes, whether when it does it automatically or it likes to stick and you have to push it forward, depending on how far this goes back, like that, for instance. So it'll stop there. It might sit for a bit, and then it'll just go on its own. Or all the way back, it goes on its own. That time it stayed. So it's just part of the M1 Garand game to be aware of. This is another one that's also gotten really expensive lately. I mean, the cheapest M1 Garand I think I saw recently, at least in a physical store around here, was about $2,300. And I was like, God. I mean, I know it's a surplus rifle from World War II, but really? I think more of that price is more just artificial scarcity, people buying these things up and then they have them for a while, and they'll probably go down in price again when like a lot of the people are holding on to them probably pass away in the next 10 or 15 years, and then the market will be flooded with them again. Like you'll probably start seeing Lugers again the next same amount of time, because the same people that have those usually also have these as well. The same goes for Car 98s and anything that's World War I, World War II era that is kind of expensive right now. They'll probably reappear on the market again sooner or later in relatively large numbers. The only reason why they're considered rare to some people is because everyone has one. I mean, they made like millions of these things. And they're still in use in some parts of the world, believe it or not. Anyway, have a nice day.